What is up, everybody? Welcome to today's build of the Zero by Edward. This is a weekend edition kit and it is super simple to follow. Today we're going to be fiddling around with bloopers as I attempt to try and use this new putty, the sticky tack putty, to attach my figures. As you can see, it's not going very well. Yeah, I turned the volume down because I was cussing, I think. So anyways, this was not very fun. I attempted some new putty, didn't really work that great. But hey, what can you do, right? Oh, there we go. Oh, messed up again. And then guess what I did? I put this sucker on backwards as all get out. Oh yeah, it's backwards. Oh man, struggling, dude. Struggling, but this was an awesome fun build. It was my first Eduard kit and I had a blast building it because it came out so... I don't even like zeros, but now I do because this kit's freaking awesome. So yeah, get excited. This is a really fun kit, really nice build, and it was really easy to do as well. Alright, let's sharpen our knives and break this bad boy open. I think one of my favorite things about this kit is actually the box art. I love the new boxes that Eduard has. Their weekend edition boxes are just so freaking crisp, dude. It's literally right up my alley. It's just, it's so incredible. Their packaging is on point. Everything's on point with this kit. It literally was just so awesome opening this thing. And of course, the instructions are the best part. So, let's get into the details. So this kit is so detailed, it's literally there. I mean, why don't you have to say anything? Because it's an Eduard kit, you know it's going to be detailed. But looking at all these parts, there's such fine detail on it, it's wild. The blooper reel is done. This is going to go much quicker than what it actually took, which it actually took like 4 hours to do all this crap. So, just saying. Yeah, all these parts fit in nice and well. I wish they had better locator pins, but the instructions are very detailed and it's very easy to understand where the heck they go in the real kit anyways. As you can see, the sticky tack method really is not working to my favor. I'm struggling, having a hard time. So if you want to use this method, that's fine. It does work usually, but you just have to be really careful. So as I'm going through and kind of putting all this stuff together, it's very, very fiddly, but with a set of tweezers that if you're better at tweezers than using them than I am, then you're in good shape. With a mild touch, very light hand, and some careful delicacy, you can get all these parts in here and it's not too troublesome. A couple flings here and there and a couple carpet dives and she'll be put together. It will be no problem. But anyways, just finishing up assembly here. Very detailed, very nice, super easy to weather, and just, yeah, what a kit. I really like these side rails, but the thing is that's really funny is that you barely can even see them. As much as I dingled and dangled with them, you can barely even see them inside the cockpit. So, yeah, you can basically just see the seat. So, I mean, yeah, if you want to deal with it, that's fine. I'm just used to Revel and Tamiya kits. They're like way easier than this. But I sprayed it with interior green. I just followed the instructions on that and continued the build. Then I painted all the parts black that needed to be black, just using some thinned down black paint and just kind of chucking my way around all these black surfaces, and then gave it a nice wash after a nice stippled and textured kind of silvering process. Then I used the Eduard decals on the instrument panel, and this went really well and it was super fun. So if you wanted to do the Brazen kit with the whole instrument panel thing, you could do that. It's probably a lot easier, but if you wanted to do it this way, save some money, the instrument panels that come in the kit actually work really well. Now this is another thing that I did that I don't know if I still like. I've done it a few times now. The seat belts that are decals. These Eduard decals are a little bit different than the Tamiya ones. The Tamiya ones are actually thicker, and that's when you actually want the decals to be thick. So the Eduard ones are really thin, and it's very clear that they're decals. So I'm still working my way around that. Next, I'm testing the fit of this whole thing, and of course, it's literally seamless. I mean, I literally have to shave off a little bit there, and it'll be completely seamless. So very good job. A few videos ago, if you remember, I completely recall saying that I'm really bad at organizing these clear parts. Well, I organized them correctly this time. I put them on at the right time so that they could be seen and highlighted on the kit that needed to be. So, yeah, I'm definitely improving somehow. Just doing more stuff. And next, I glue this canopy with Tamiya cement. So far, knock on wood, all my canopies that I've Tamiya cemented onto my models have not fogged, and I've done the last 5 or 6. So there's clear indication that that may be the way to do it. I actually bought an Eduard masking set for this, and that is just such a lifesaver, especially when dealing with this super big greenhouse. So easy, and it fits perfect. There's no reason why you can't spend the $6 on a kit. So and it gives you a good excuse to keep modeling and keep doing it quicker. Get yourself some Mr. Hobby primer and some Mr. Surfacer, and you're good to go. I mean, dude, there's no other way to do it. Next, I coat this with dull aluminum, as I thought it'd be a little bit different than doing like duraluminum or just standard aluminum. I thought it'd be maybe a little bit better. I don't know, maybe more better coatage. I was just playing around with some tricks and wanted to get a nice chipping medium down. So I spray painted this completely on all of my primer so that I could use my chipping fluid on it and chip it later. So I suggest, if you're using this Vallejo brand, to just spray it right out of the can. I was messing around with some thinners. I was dinking and kind of finagling some things. I wanted it to spray nice and even. I ended up making the paint move, man. It, like, I don't know, it looked like an alien was inside of it. So definitely all you got to do is just spray that right from the can. It's thin enough, it's fine. Next, I'm just applying with a brush and a sponge the chipping fluid. This tends to have and breed the best results, as if I brush it or spray paint it over the whole model, it tends to come up too much. So I didn't want that to happen. So I just put some on a sponge and just kind of lightly put it over all my stuff. Next, I'm painting the back of the prop this red, dark brown color. I didn't quite get enough red in there, but it'll do fine for this. Next, I'm finally going into the hemp color. So the hemp color, the instructions said to mix hemp, white, and some green, and just mix it all together, and you'll get your color. So I took that as an opportunity. I said, okay. So I painted these control surfaces a bit of a different color than the other control surfaces, with kind of a darker, actually, hemp color. And what I did was I just put in like I put in 10 drops of hemp, 8 drops of green, and then the rest I put 2 drops of white, and then a bunch of thinner, and a couple drops of Mr. Hobby's leveling thinner, Unicorn Tears. And that seemed to get this color pretty decent. It's a little bit green, but after a wash and after a lighter highlight reel, it's completely fine. It looks just like a 0 would be weathered. It's almost like its first weathering stage. I used the actual true hemp color, thinned down, 80-20 pretty much, thinner to paint ratio. And I just highlighted all of these panel lines, and this I find to be the best way to do panel lines. Instead of doing black panel lines and doing the same thing that we've done 1,000 times, I tend to like to use a little bit more color in my panel lines nowadays, being a little bit more advanced with it. So that just breeds me to be more careful about my top coat, as I don't want to erase this step. But with being a little bit better with an airbrush and trying a little bit harder to get all those lines nice and crisp, this seems to be the best way to do panel lines, as I really like the outcome of this 0 and this finish. Like I said, I don't even like 0s. I think they are kind of dinky looking. I don't think they look that cool. In my opinion of them is like, I don't know, like a P40. Like I think they're cool. Yeah, P40s are cool, and or like I guess a lot of people would disagree with me about the Spitfire. Well, I think Spitfires look really, really dinky. In the air, they look sweet, but on the ground, they look like a toy. But anyways, after this top coat, I just spray it on nice and thin, and yeah, I was just trying to get this zero done. And it wasn't until this point when I put the color on that I started realizing, like, I'm gonna put some extra time into this because I really like this zero. This is really freaking sweet. So I put in some aluminum fading and chipping and kind of like pretty much dry brushing in there to make it look like it was painted, but it got wore down over time. Then I put a wash in it, and then I actually dry brushed it again after the wash. This is my first Japanese prop, and I honestly can't tell you which prop is easier. I honestly think the Japanese prop is easier than the American prop because those stupid yellow tips. So this thing came out really, really nice, and I'm a big fan of this propeller. I really, really like it. So, you know, man. I also used the Vallejo Chrome, I believe. I used Vallejo Chrome in that metal set, and that seemed to work just fine. Next, I'm doing an all naturals wash on the cowling, as it's a very, very dark black, which is hard to highlight. So I just used that all naturals wash, and that seemed to brighten it up just a bit. After I highlight all the details, I then go back with a paper towel and some thinner and just rub it off. Next, I'm doing the decals. Now, there's no saying with these bigger decals, I did actually have a little bit of an issue with them. Not sure why, but I haven't used these new decals from Eduard yet. Next, I wash the airplane with water, just activating that chipping fluid underneath it, and then I can take a toothpick and just very, very lightly go over and chip the areas that need to be chipped, going in different directions, making sure the chips look unique and kind of not really uniform. I use a bunch of water for this, as it does require you to do, if you have multiple coats of paint on especially, but once you get it saturated, just wait a couple seconds and then go back with your toothpick. It'll be just right when you get there. And if you did do a light coat of chipping fluid, then just be patient and just go over the spots that you know you hit very lightly. Next, I actually didn't even know this until I started chipping, but these decals have film on them, which is why I had a problem with them. I freaking love this. This is the coolest thing ever. Decals with film, oh yeah, I'm in. That was legit. Very, very tricky. Had to make sure they were completely dry before you peeled them, but man, I am in love with these things. It doesn't even look like it has anything on it. And going from kits that obviously Tamiya kits, this is a huge difference in model making, and it literally saved me so much time. So I can't shout out the decals with the film on it enough. And maybe it was a fluke. I don't even know if it's supposed to have a film. Like, it's just a fluke. Like, I just peel off the film, like, and I never hurt the decals at all. I chipped it afterwards. So yeah, it's one of those things. Next, I do use a sponge to do some chipping on the cowling, and I can never usually get the inside panels very good with the sponge, so I'd rather prefer to use a brush, which I do, but going on the edges with the sponge is really, really awesome. That seems to work out the best with that. Take a little brush, and I just do some light chipping on all of kind of the panels where it would stand out the most. And as you can see on the cowling, that the wash didn't really work that well. I think I used too much thinner on it, and I actually rubbed all of it out of the panel lines, so I went back and kind of fixed that a little bit later. But after just going around chipping each and every kind of little area with the brush, I was finally able to move on and do my final assembly, which is putting all the stuff on. The elevators, the rudder, the ailerons. I just put a little bit of down elevator in it. It was movable, so you could put it up like maybe 5 degrees in model standards, and real standards be like 1 degree in real airplane talk. But yeah, you could probably put it up like 5 to maybe 10 degrees. You could put it down 5 or 10 degrees on each control surface, which was pretty cool. And the same with the rudder as well. I gave it a little tiny itsy bitsy left aileron, just to kind of do something different, just make it look like, I don't know, he'd put his stick to the left and kind of stuck it there. Next, I can finally assemble this cowling, which is a very satisfying part of the build. And like I said, after I chipped it and had all the decals on, I really was liking this airplane. I think because of this model kit, I have a different view of the Zero. So I always use well, not always, sometimes I just use the tweezers, but most of the time I use toothpicks, and I just peel up the corners, and then I use my tweezers to go on from there, as you can scratch the surface of your canopy with your tweezers, which sometimes isn't a bad thing. Like you know, a lot of people don't weather their canopies because it really doesn't look realistic, because we all see perfectly clear canopies at air shows and stuff, but honestly it's probably more realistic to put a crack in there, do some dust in there, whatever. Next, I can finally assemble this prop and get this thing on here. And like I said, the Cardigraph decals that went on the prop were superb. You couldn't even see them through the silver paint, and I didn't even have to gloss coat them. You couldn't see the lines at all. And that's it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy these last videos and photos, and make sure that you subscribe and hit that bell so you can see every single video that I'm coming out with. I'm trying to produce as much as possible, so stay tuned. And also, let's get back to building.